Hello and welcome to Traditional Painting the Digital Way. This is where I use digital painting apps to teach traditional painting techniques. In this video, we're going to be painting statue fragments. I've been seeing these statues, little sculptures that people do where they'll just do sort of a fragment of a statue, and so I wanted to try that today. And I want the materials, if you're following along traditionally, to be white charcoal and dark charcoal and give it sort of a chalk look. So here I wanted to take the iconic statue of David that Michelangelo has done and just try to do a fragment of it. And so I wanted to go ahead and mess around with it in Infinite Painter and just kind of make a photo reference for a fragment of a statue. And so I'm using the stucco brush because it gives it a kind of a broken look, and I'm just kind of erasing out around the statue. And so what we want to do is just get sort of part of the statue. We don't want to do the whole thing. I just want part of the head and the eyes, not the whole statue. And the sculptures that I've been seeing are kind of like that. They just will take a fragment of a face and a fragment of a hand and have it sort of balanced on the hand and the arm and just make a sculpture out of that. And I just thought that was neat and also an interesting way to study anatomy, and interesting to do sort of a monotone look to your paintings, to study shapes and to study dark and light. It's just kind of a good lesson to do that. And when you do this, when you take apart the statue and just kind of make it look broken up, then you're not looking at it and saying, oh, that's a face. I know how to draw a face, your mind says, and then you will do preconceived notions that you have. And so I'm trying to get rid of those by making this sort of abstract shapes. But yet you're still getting some good practice on facial features. So this is what I decided on, to just make part of David's face and the hand, that most of the hand, because it'll sort of help work with how to do hands, and that's definitely a lesson that everybody needs because hands are hard to do. So here I'm using some of the chalk brushes in Infinite Painter, and you can use your white chalk pencil or white charcoal pencil and just kind of sketch the basic shapes out. And again, since we've made this sort of an abstract look, you concentrate more on the shapes that you're looking at than what you think that the statue should look like. And so here I'm just kind of getting a basic shape there of the face, and then the basic shape of the hand as well. I'm just kind of smudging it out, and you can use Infinite Painter has several different pencil categories and chalk categories, and it also has the charcoals, just like a traditional media, and it also has some blending brushes, especially for the charcoals. It's got a cloth shader and several different things like that that give it a really good look, like it's a traditional chalk media. And that's one of the things I really like about Infinite Painter, is because it has all these things in it. And so here I'm working a little bit more on the shapes, adding in the shapes, and then I want to start adding in some shadow. So I'm using sort of a grayer chalk color, and you can use light gray, I guess, or you want to not make it too dark yet. You just kind of want the masses of where the eyes are and where the nose and the mouth are, because you kind of want to get those in alignment. You want to get the where they're at, the positioning on the face here. And so here I'm just doing that and smudging it in and making sure that it is in the right position there, and just kind of putting in the abstract here. And that's what we want to do, is sort of work on the dark and the light, and try to get the look of the statue. And I would definitely recommend studying Michelangelo and all the classical sculpture, because the anatomy is really correct on them, and really detailed and defined, and it will help you learn anatomy. If you're struggling with that, it will help you learn that too. It's really good practice for that. And then here I'm just kind of taking a darker charcoal and making the nose and the eyes, just kind of putting the features in there. And so I'm working on the mouth, the nose, just the shape of it. Again, we're making it really abstract, so that we just concentrate on the darks and lights and the forms that you see, and not have any preconceived notions about what an eye should look like, what a mouth should look like, or a nose. We're trying to just go ahead and add in the basic shapes of this. And so I've darkened it down, and I've smoothed them out again, and made it sort of a blended look. And you want to kind of smooth out these edges so that you get it to look like the sculpture, to get them smooth. And the way you do that is adding darks and lights. So here I'm adding some more white chalk. It's kind of an off-white. I don't have pure white yet. You can save that for final highlights. And I'm just trying to work on the shape of the nose and the shape of the eyes. And so I'm adding some darks and lights inside the darker places. And I'm working on the edges also of it, just trying to get the shape here. And again, as I've said, it's really good to study these old sculptures, because they really did, most of them, the famous ones anyway, got their anatomy correct. And so you definitely want to just do that, and it'll be very good practice. So here I'm working on the nose again, trying to get the darks and lights, the edge there, the edge of the shadows on there. Just kind of adding the shapes of the eyes. And again, I cut one of the eyes off mostly. So, I mean, erased it out. And so you have the one really good eye, and then you've got the edge of it, and that just helps you get a kind of a idea of what a face looks like. You're doing it abstractly, so that you're not paying attention to what you think it looks like. Again, I keep saying that, but yeah, it makes you not think about your preconceived notions, and it actually just gives you sort of an abstract to look at. And here I'm just working on the cheekbones, trying to get the dark there, working on the mouth, just trying to get the shape of the mouth, and just working on the highlights of the dark and the chin, just trying to get sort of the look of it. And then I'm going to work on the hand, and this definitely is very good practice to work on the hand and try to get the correct shape of it. And so I'm working on the knuckles and trying to add all the darker spaces between them and where the bones are in the hand. And Michelangelo did a really good job on this. He really did sculpt a realistic looking hand and person there. And so I'm working a little bit more on the edges. You kind of want to make it look like it's a sculpture, so you go ahead and darken the edges a little bit and add a little bit of softening to them, but also you can kind of keep them just a little bit jagged because we want that look of that sculpture. And then I'm working on the shape of the nostril, the shape of the under eye there, the edge of the nose, and just trying to look and see how he did the eyes there, what he added for the eyes, and then adding some of the light to the eye there. Again, you don't want this side too bright. You kind of want an off-white type of a color there. And then I'm working a little bit more on the cheekbone there. I decided that I don't quite have the nose right, so I'm working on it. And again, like I said, it's like working on a portrait, but you're reducing it to abstract shapes so that you can see what you've got wrong there and try to just follow the shapes that you see here. And so I'm still doing that, trying to get the nose right, the shape of the nostrils, add the highlights there. And again, as you can see, the sculpture was really detailed and got the really good structure of the nose and the eyes and even the hands. So I'm working on that, working on the nose. I don't quite have it just right, so I was trying to work on the edge of it, the nostrils, try to get those right. And also the bridge of the nose. And I decided that I probably need to bring the edge of that eye down just a little bit. So I blurred it out. And again, you can just go ahead and blur it out and then add a darker color to the eyes. And that's why it's nice to work in chalk if you're following along traditionally, because it's a really forgiving medium. You just run your eraser across there or smudge it out and work on it again. And so that's what I'm doing here, just working on the edge of the cheekbones now, the edge of the fingers and the eye there, trying to get sort of the shape of the eye and the eyelid and the pupil, and just try to get kind of a more accurate look there. And so you just keep doing that and keep going back and forth and smudging and just keep working on it till you finally are happy with it. So this is the end of part 1 of our statue, and in part 2 I'm going to add some more details and work on the hand and try to get the final highlights. So if you want to see that, then hit the subscribe button. And thanks everybody for watching. Thank you so much for your support. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments down below, and I will catch you later.